Now we are at the home of Ricken Hale, and he is being visited by none other than evil Natalie.
And there's absolutely some flirtatious moments. He seems almost like a little too aloof to notice, but he is someone whose ego can be stroked easily. And she reads a passage, or they read a passage, and it is one of the stupidest ones. And
I have it for you here.
Oh, please give.
Quote, "But surely beer and juleps cannot fill the void left by love. Indeed, only wine can achieve this.
Did you know that?
But it is costly, which is why sadness is among the most recurrent issues facing the poor."
So
End
astute.
quote. Yeah, so astute. He's like, that's what I was going for, was astute. I love Ricken's book. So this
I want to
book
read it.
It's just berating people for being poor. You dumb idiots. How poor? Why aren't you striving harder?
You're sad because you're poor. Maybe don't do that.
And then Devin comes in, and Ricken is like, "Oh, hey, you remember Natalie from Lumon?" And she's like, is Mark okay?"
I've been meaning to say this. We don't see very many homes in this entire show, but it is very clear that Ricken and Devin have some money. It's the nicest home. It's the most unique. It's the only unique home that they could afford to go to. That birthing retreat thing is interesting. Yeah. But, then they kind of play it off because they're next to actual rich people. So it's like if there is a middle class, they're living it. And it's just, it's interesting to see. They're with some of the most unique people types. we have to look. We have the super rich. We have everyone in a cookie cutter house that's living a shit life, and then we have them weirdly in the middle.
I read Ricken as coming from money. I mean, I've totally stereotyped him, but he's a type that exists in the world. He's basically the type that runs, the Democratic Party of the United States.
That makes sense.
Of a striver, of a person who comes from means, is now a permanent member of the professional managerial class.
Says all the right things, but would never live the life of someone who he pretends to have a bleeding heart for.
So they're like, Devin comes in. She's like, yeah, this has nothing to do with that. She came to talk to me about my book. Yes, the book has made it down to the severed floor somehow. We don't know how, but the point is, we're very excited because it's been a game changer. And what we'd love to do is commission Ricken to write an updated version of the UUR for severed workers. So Devin says, that's cool, but what's wrong with the current version? So nothing. We've just found that there's a certain verbiage that they respond more favorably. If we tweak it here and there, and then Ricken says they think it can be a real game changer. Now, left unsaid is like from what to what, doesn't matter. But Ricken, I fucking called it. I'm never right about anything.
Yep. Because that was amazing. And I listened back to our first episode, and I adamantly tell you, no.
So what happened in that first episode is when Adam Scott gets to look at the newspaper. So, the first episode is all about lots happened. It's been 5 months. This is totally true. The world has changed. Severance reform. And because we are only getting the Annie Marks version of this, we don't know if this is true or not, but I guess we have no reason to think this isn't true, that out there, real big changes are happening. So if you pause on the newspaper, you can read the article, and it says Ricken Hale gave a benediction at this severance parade. And Ricken Hale, author of the UUR and some title that's Living the 9 Principles of Keir. But this is the corporate playbook. Huh. Anyone you can assimilate into the board, you can bring on board, you do it. Some guys out there saying things, pay him to come say things for you.
Right.
Is this guy have inspiration for your employees? We'll bring him on board, and now we can control what he says.
Well, even better, these employees already indoctrinated themselves and found enlightenment and motivation to rebel poignantly based on his works. We need to immediately give them something else of his to read that has them not rebel, but be more productive.
But just everything that we saw from Ricken, and I think that the show is satirizing Ricken, a type of well-off liberal, and I keep saying liberal.
Useful idiot.
He's totally okay to be in the bosom of corporate capitalism, gives it legitimacy by putting it in the right kind of sort of academic wellness language.
Right. Ricken is so flattered that anyone is noticing him, but that his work is being called or could be a game changer to a whole type of people, not giving any thought to what he's aiding by lending his voice to such a powerful corporation who's hell-bent on keeping everything they have and keeping their shit under wraps.
Yeah, and this can happen to the smartest people. You can be a doctor, a drug company's like, we'd love to bring you on board. We'd love to give you $8 million a year to come work for us and be on our advisory council. And all you have to do is give testimonials about how great our drug is. Like,
right.
It's just what you do. So just to talk about self-help just a little bit more, because this is a big thing in this show. It has been since the beginning. Self-help is absolutely huge in America. America, the country of rugged individualism. In contrast to, the European democracies that at least have some semblance of a social safety net, at least, although it's going away there too. But self-help is all about the idea that you fail you and you can help you. All you got to do is work real hard, rise and grind, and it will pay off for you. And there's a long history of this in America, the prosperity gospel. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Oprah basically made her career as the face of this. And the reason this is so embraced by corporate America is that it is inherently friendly to business interest. It is inherently conservative. And then these books, The Secret.
The sacred knowledge, which is just, hey, just think about shit different. When it doesn't go right, think it did. It's so fucking stupid.
We know what it takes to make people, happy's even a weird, loose word.
Right.
We know what people need. They need their material needs taken care of. They need money and health care and shelter and clothing, human connection and everything. And the reason it's so hard for so many people is resources are scarce. To get the resources, you have to work your ass off. Your job, you're stretched so thin. When you go to your, boss and they're like, I'm so stressed out, what they'll do is hand you a book that says, here's a book about mindfulness, rather than give you a raise or giving you an extra day off for a week or saying you can join a union. You're in charge of feeling better about your own life.
The literal line from one of these books, and I'll bet it would be in any one of these three, and as an example is when you get up in the morning and you're tired and you think, I have to go to work. Well, instead say, I get to go to work. And it's just like, God damn, that does kind of make me feel better.
Yeah, I got to sit in on a counseling session one time with somebody who's like really frustrated at stalling out in his career, and the person's like, instead of looking at it as a
you and I said it on the same thing.
Can you look at it as an opportunity? And the guy's like,
it was a coaching thing, right? You said on a coaching thing. Well, because you couldn't do it that day, so I said it on the next one.
He said the same thing.
No, he said something similar, and that's what got me to buy that fucking book that I was weird about for 2 weeks. The Work.
Yeah, I've read a million self-help books, and they do look. Self-help does help a little bit, but the point is, in a country that's all about the individual, that's like
it
never
goes so far. Yeah,
never work together, never form any solidarity with your fellow man.
Don't rock the boat. Just be happy with the boat you're in.
Mm-hmm. And maybe your individual situation can improve. So listen, I highly recommend the podcast Citations Needed.
Oh yes, she was a guest on something I was just listening to. She's good.
There's no she. It's two men, Adam Johnson and Nima Shirazi, the hosts of Citations Needed.
Oh, this is a newsletter. This is a newsletter, citationsneeded.news.
Oh, okay.
And it's a woman.
Citations Needed with Adam Johnson and Nima Shirazi. They have a episode from 2020, episode 109, Self-Help Culture and the Rise of Corporate Happiness Monitoring. I have a link in the description, but just check out that podcast. It goes all into this history, which I'm fascinated with.
Okay, even more checkout is If Books Could Kill. They cover both The Secret and Atomic Habits and a ton of other books, and they are fucking amazing.
I like that podcast, yes.
Yes. Well, great. Matt says yes.
It's got the Matt seal of approval.